Good morning. Welcome back. Kent Beam with Nine Business Group and Elevate Your Business Spotlight interview. We have Alex and Matt joining us this morning. Alex, Matt, please introduce yourself, but most importantly, your company name, and what you guys do and what you makes different than the competition. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
My name is Matt Moissac. I'm a registered sport and performance psychologist. I'm one of the co-founders with Alex of Mind Buffs. We started May 1st, 2021. So we've only been around for 3 years. And I could give you a long answer or a short answer to this question, but I think one of the things that's important to know is that there is not a business like ours. Sports psychologists do not work together. They are highly competitive people. And so when they go into this industry, they're still highly competitive people and they typically work by themselves. And so Alex and I met, happenstance, luck, fate, who knows. And we decided that we wanted to join forces to create a team of sport and performance psychologists to see what we'd be able to achieve, what would be different. And so from that kind of humble beginning, we've gone from 2 to 15 in the last 3 years, including 9 other sports psychologists. So we think things are going in the right direction. So yeah, that's what's a little bit in terms of what's different with us.
Cool. Okay, so why the descriptor sports psychologist? Can't we just be a psychologist? Is there a special trade? Is there something unique that makes us a sports psychologist? Is this type of schooling we go to? Why the extra word? Obviously means something, we're using it. So
Yeah, so I'll answer that one. With calling ourselves a sports psychologist, we do have to come from obviously like competitive backgrounds, but we also have to have somebody who supervises us in the sports psych field that has experience. So before we become fully registered in Alberta, we do have to do a bunch of hours of supervision and all of that super fun stuff and a really big licensing exam. And we all have a master's actually in counseling psychology. It's not specific to sports psychology because we have to be able to bring in that clinical side of counseling and combine it with the traditional foundations of sports psychology, which is what we do at Mind Buffs. And yeah, I think we actually have 11, or I guess 11 of us total. Hey, Matt, on the team?
11, 4
Including
support
us.
staff,
Yeah.
11. Yeah, I guess 11 of
Yeah.
us, yeah.
okay,
And
cool.
yeah, go ahead.
So talking about the space of sports, we have 4 kids. We've all played sports. My kids play sports. They're active in baseball and hockey and blah, blah, blah. I sort of understand the concept of visualization. I've heard about it growing up in the 80s and 90s. Swimmers do it. We've heard Michael Phelps stories. Is that what you guys do? Or maybe give us a bit more description of kind of what's the difference between what I hear on TV when I'm hearing the sports athletes talk about it versus what I were to experience if I walked in your clinic and said, hook me up.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there's like the traditional, like old school sports psych stuff that you're referencing. So visualization, breathing, meditation, positive self-talk, goal setting, things like that. And you could have like any like mental performance consultant, any business coach, like anyone that is life coach in that kind of like field, be able to like provide like education and training in those skills. And so one of the significant differences in terms of what a sports psych does is that like we can go deeper, we can go broader, like we can go to subconscious space where the real confidence lives. And so we use a lot of therapeutic techniques in combination with traditional sports psych to be able to more well-rounded, more holistically, more consistently, just like have a deeper, richer sense of meaning, of identity, of confidence. So it is that perfect marriage between traditional counseling and like traditional sport and performance psych. So we're able to go anywhere, talk about anything, do any work that's needed for our athletes or any type of performance kind that we're working with, so that they're able to kind of be in the zone, be in that flow state, whether they're a surgeon, a car salesman, or an athlete.
Okay, now we're gonna have some fun.
Okie doke.
Can you give us an example of an athlete or somebody you've worked with, obviously being confidential, where you were able to go deeper, you were able to work with them on a level, he or she, that got them go deeper than what you would just say be surface on your traditional IVVMs, were able to deal with something, and what is that you something dealt with that you were able to find that a traditional performance coach wouldn't be able to find?
Do you want me to go?
I have one, but you share one and I'll share one.
So we do at Mind Buffs, like we'll work with the whole athlete, so all parts of their identity, because a lot of what happens, and as you said, Kent, you're a parent. If stuff's going on at school, it's going to impact stuff at hockey. If there's stuff going on at home, it's going to impact the sport and the performance. So what we'll do is like go in and look at the whole athlete, look at the whole identity, and see which parts need to actually be worked on. So I actually specialize with eating disorders in athletes. If they're not eating, they're not going to perform. So that is something that I would go in from a clinical standpoint and work with them on that, which is eventually going to actually improve their performance as well.
I think for myself, one of the things that we all, it is mandatory on our team. We all have to be trained in a modality called EMDR. I'm not sure if you've heard of that or if you had other people talk about that, but it stands for eye
Sam
movement.
just uses the term and pretends like she's super important because she uses it. So give us the layman's version.
Okay.
Yeah.
So EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization reprocessing. It's super fancy, but essentially what it is, it's an elevator that we can help our clients take from like conscious space to subconscious space. So I had this college athlete that I've been working with, and they had a significant like ACL, MCL injury, and they're about to prepare to go back to the States to play college. And obviously we see a lot of athletes who are coming for injury recovery. And it's funny when you go down there and you think you're just going to be processing like the injury or the trauma of that performance event. But what ended up happening with EMDR is that my client found like this space where she was able to kind of connect all these different people and pieces of her life that were connected to her sport. And some of them were good, some of them were very negative. And in that space, they were able to process like what people that they want to continue to support them going forward, what people they need to leave in the past and maybe weren't like healthy for them. And when it came to the injury, she was able to kind of like reprogram feelings of like strength and safety and confidence so that there wasn't a single part of her brain that would sabotage her in her performance going forward to like protect her from getting injured again. And so you're not going to just be able to do that with a performance consultant or a non-licensed like psychologist. So like those are the fun spaces that we can go to that are wild, fun, and wacky that our clients do not see coming whatsoever, but really lead to like long-term progress.
Okay, so safe to say, now walk me through, I've probably butchered this 1,000 times, but I want you to say it. So how does it relate sports-wise? Somewhere along the way, my subconscious controls my conscious, which then controls my thoughts, which then control my actions, which then control my roles. Is that did I get it right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So walk us through, I think your example, Matt, was good on kind of, there was a bunch of subconscious stuff wrapped up in a knee injury. And the knee injury wasn't a cause of the stuff, but it brought it out because there was this point of hesitation or fear in the performance that we had to find the subconscious stuff that was creating a bunch of thoughts and negative behavior.
You nailed it. That's exactly it.
Okay. No, let's talk about the shit I enjoy. Pardon me. I mean,
let's do it.
I love sports. And does it relate to business? I have to assume it does, because if I'm working with my client, myself included, we do stupid stuff all the time. There's stuff that we don't do. There's stuff we probably should be doing that we're not doing. So have you had experience working with entrepreneurs, business owners? You mentioned sales reps. Give us some stories on that, saying, because for all the entrepreneurs out there, do better. We can do better. We can do different. So what say you?
You go for it, Matt. This is your...
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I have a huge heart for working with business clients. I work with a lot of different entrepreneurs and all different industries that you can imagine. And I think the main thing that I do with them is I help them like redefine what success looks like for them. You can go through the tropes of like success is financial or it's position. It's things that are really visible, really measurable. And those are the very things that tend to get in the way of performance if you're a business person, a leader, or an entrepreneur. And so you can't just simply like on a piece of paper decide that like, this is going to be my new values. This is going to be my new definition of success. You can put it on paper, but if that definition of success is deeply rooted in your family of origin, in your early performance experiences, in your early wins or losses as a business person. That is what is controlling, like you said, your thoughts, your feelings, your behavior. So we have to do therapy. We got to do fancy EMDR. We got to do hypnosis, which Alex does, to help you permanently change the narratives that are controlling the way that you lead, the way that you design your life, the way that you connect with people. So we work with people in every industry you can imagine and help them permanently redesign what those metrics are and what those expectations are.
So why is the quote unquote definition of success important?
It guides everything if you're a competitive person. And if you're a business person, you're highly competitive. And if you don't have a conscious awareness and understanding of what that definition is, you have a secret, unknown, subconscious definition. And that shit is controlling you, whether you realize it or not. So at the very least, we help our clients become aware of what that is, and it's up to them if they want to rewrite that or keep the narrative as it is. But your subconscious completely controls you, whether you realize it or not.
All right, you mentioned the word hypnotherapy, so I'm going to jump in. Coming back to Alex,
Hmm.
I love it. I was introduced to hypnotherapy about a year and a half ago.
Mm.
Okay.
I don't know if it's changed my world, but it's definitely helped me consciously, subconsciously think different about my world. It's had an impact on my children. Both my kids have gone, my wife is gone. Talk to us as entrepreneurs and competitive people about hypnotherapy, because the way I describe it to my clients is, y'all got to go, because this IVM thing is great. Nothing wrong with IVVMs. However, it can take 2 or 3 years to make it sticky. And what I find is hypnotherapy is, it's sort of like is the short half hour, 2 minute, 2 hour version of an IVVM to rewrite your subconscious. Is that your experience? Is that what you do? Or I got one smiley guy.
Yeah.
I always describe hypnosis as like almost like a ladder. So there's like mindfulness, then there's meditation, and then there's hypnosis. So we're going to the depths of what's happening. For me, though, I actually pair my hypnosis with EMDR, with what Matt was talking about, and that's where I've had the greatest success from it. So again, we'll go back using the EMDR to like rewrite those neural pathways in the brain. And then I'll use the hypnosis to almost solidify it and really anchor that in using like certain stories and narratives. So I'll pull it all together. And a lot of my clients have really, I would say, gotten a lot of benefits from it, more so when I'm pairing it than when I'm doing it just by itself, if that makes sense.
Yep. So some people are going to go, sounds too easy, too good to be true. Nothing can be that simple. What's the response?
My response is that shit is hard when you first do it. So
Yeah.
oftentimes when you go to therapy, we don't have a magic wand. You're not going to be better like the first or second session after seeing us. What we're going to do is we're most likely going to open Pandora's box and then help you like see everything that can be different, that could be improved, that could be worked on. And it's up to you as the business person, as in the entrepreneur, like what you want to work on, because it will permanently change you, but you got to do the freaking work because it's hard.
I'm going to
What do you mean
jump
by
in.
do the work? What do you mean do the work?
I
Are we
was
doing
just
push-ups, sit-ups, jump squats, box squats? What do you mean by do the work?
So I will say, well, again, what sets us apart at my most compared to like traditional therapy offices, we're working. Like you're coming in, again, we're highly competitive people. You're coming in and we have a goal and we're working towards that goal. And I always tell my clients, and they'll laugh if they hear this, that we'll put them through the ringer in the session. And the expectation is that you're going to go do your work and you're going to come back to us. And you're going to tell us what's different, what changed, what didn't change, what worked, what didn't work. And we're going to go through it and we hit the ground running hard. So it is quite a shock for those who come in that have just done that traditional talk therapy where you go in, everyone has the vision of you lying on the couch, talking, right? Whereas again, with us, it's like you're coming in, the expectation is that you're working. And the analogy I use is it's similar to a practice. You're coming in, you're working, and then you're expected to do the work outside of that and then coming back. So
yeah. And the work can look like a lot of different things. It can look like, I want to see like active behavioral changes. I want to see you like writing or journaling, like definitions of what your values are and like who you want to be, like some of the things you would do like more in like business, like fields. but like really like soul searching, like really looking within. It's like asking people for help, asking people for accountability and to like challenge you. It is actually doing the things that we talk about in therapy, and we create like measurable, like process-based goals that we expect our clients to pursue like after each session. And that's the sports side. Like, here are your goals, go execute. I expect there to be like some movement, whatever that looks like, when I see you in like 2 weeks.
Okay, got it. And how would that? Okay, I'm going to give you a scenario. Got a business owner running $400,000 or $500,000 a year. Business seems to be stuck, flatlined, if you will, kind of stuck for a couple of years. But the business owner goes, "I want more," but doesn't seem to. He wants change, but doesn't feel like internally there's a lot of stuff to work on.
There is a theory. I'm sure some of your listeners would have heard of this. It's called the Prochaska's theory of change. This really shows like, where are you in terms of readiness to do the work, as we keep alluding to. And so the example you just gave is someone who is either in stage 1 or stage 2, which is stage 1 is pre-contemplative. Those people give no shits. They're not going to make any changes in their life externally or internally. And then you got your contemplative people. They're like, you know what? I know I could do things differently. I know I could work on things, but nah, I'm not going to do it right now. We typically see people, and this is something that we're kind of blessed. Like, traditional therapists, they see lots of pre-contemplative and contemplative. But as performance psychs, we get people who are kind of at the action stage or beyond. And so these are people who are like, I'm ready. Let's crack me open. Let's do the work. I'm ready to do anything. So we know as therapists, if they're pre-contemplative or contemplative, there's nothing we can do for them. There's
Great
nothing.
analogy. Love it.
Mhm.
What should a person be mindful of? I'm a big person. We talk about fear. Fear is nothing more than something that doesn't appear. But you said there's some work. There's got to be some, I won't use the word demons, but there's some stuff in there that we would have to face. Give us an example of maybe some big ones and small ones that would make it a bit easier for a person to kind of be willing to jump into the space and go, I want to take action. Because the first 20 minutes, I'm going, not a chance. This shit sounds scary.
I have an
Uh,
example if you
no,
don't.
you go for it. My brain's still thinking.
Okay, yeah, I would say the most common limiting belief that my business clients experience is one of two things. One is growing up and maybe not having the kind of supportive family that they should have had. And so they grow up with kind of like this, I need to prove to the world mentality. And you'll see lots of athletes, lots of high performers, lots of entrepreneurs have a ton of success with the I'll show you, I'll prove you. But
Michael
all these,
Jordan's a great example of
yes,
that.
yeah. But the danger with that is that their identity tends to be hyper fixed, which means they're going to crash and burn when their career is over. Or two, they're going to hit some kind of like midlife crisis because they would have ignored every other warning sign because I need to prove, I need to prove, I need to prove. And so we see tons of successful people coming to us because they're like, I have nothing left. I don't know what to do. Like, I've tried everything. And the second common narrative that I see a lot is this feeling of like, I am responsible. I am responsible for my team. I am responsible for the success of everyone in my business. I am responsible for being ready and responsive immediately to prospective clients that contact me. These will absolutely destroy an entrepreneur. And I would say those are the two narratives that we have to do the most traditional counseling for, to alleviate a lot of that unnecessary past baggage that is following our leaders that we work with.
Super fun. Okay.
That's one way of
As you
saying
move forward, what's that?
so. That's one way of saying it.
No, I think it's fascinating. I mean, I've been working with entrepreneurs and business owners for 20 years. And there, I guess there's nothing worse than seeing some potential, seeing a strong business, a reasonable team, and it getting stuck, right? We can operate on the business principles, this thing we can put in place in business to make it run better and easier. Ultimately, there's things an entrepreneur has to do or change about themselves to get to the next level. Sometimes we get to 300,000 or 400,000 and they go, I'm just comfortable being self-employed. Check. But then there's people who get to a couple, 3 million, or they got a team of 15 or 5 million, and there's just, it's not a happy place. And
No.
to have an entrepreneur and watch them suffer, I say in every presentation I make, entrepreneurship is the greatest responsibility in the world. It's the most fun. The problem is it can make us heroes and they make us zeros. And it's something we have to choose, because if we don't choose, it will make us zeros. And I hate to see that. Has happened way too many times in my lifetime. So, anything you'd like to say that we haven't yet covered that kind of comes to mind?
In terms of like individual counseling, I think we kind of given a good snapshot of what to expect, what to look for. Like again, like I love how knowledgeable you are. I think that's awesome, and just understanding the inner work that an entrepreneur needs to do to really experience their potential, the success that is available to them. So yeah, I think from an individual therapy perspective, we've covered good ground. And then there's like the whole world of what we do for organizations and businesses. But
so why don't you touch on that? Why don't you touch on the businesses and organizations that in the work you do there?
I think and we have permission to kind of speak to this business relationship, and it's kind of like the gold seal example of the kind of a partnership that we have. So we work with Volvo pretty extensively. Like we have a contract where every single person from Volvo, their therapy is 100% covered by owner Mike Norris at Volvo. And so what we do is we have like kind of multiple relationships with Volvo and that team. And so we work with everyone there, one-on-one counseling. It's there and available for everyone that needs it. But we're also there like performance psychologists for like the business of Volvo. So we're also helping them and facilitating like training and just having meetings and checking up to see how different teams and departments are doing in Volvo. And so that would be the most like kind of comprehensive relationship that we have, where we literally will show up at Volvo and we'll hang out, see how people are doing, check on the managers and the leadership, check on the guys in the back. Everyone is a part of kind of like that Mind Buffs ecosystem. So I'd say that's like an idealized version of kind of what we want to do with businesses, where we become a part of your culture. So that's a cool relationship that we have.
And I will say we've had noticed, at least with Volvo, because it's been a number of years, that there's been a significant decrease in like attrition and burnout, and more long-term staff are staying, so less turnover, just with us being there and being able to be a part of it.
So did you guys watch Billions?
Yeah, I stopped after a couple seasons, but yeah.
So are you the equivalent of the performance person on that TV show?
Pretty much. To some degree, yeah.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Okay, cool.
Wendy. Yeah.
Now, what is the level of, now obviously we glamorize things on television, so we'll kind of park that. But where's that level of confidentiality I would imagine you guys get to know all kinds of wonderful, good, bad, and things about individuals, and I get you're there to help them. You're also there to help the business obviously be improving retention, improving their performance in their actual job. But why would I want to trust you, and how do you not take the goods to the boss and get me canned?
That's such a great question. I'm glad you asked that, because with both like Volvo and with other businesses that we've worked with, there have been like non-psychologists that have kind of broken that pact, right? And have really damaged a lot of trust for people. And so, I mean, the one thing we have is like we have a contract. It is A to Z, fully written in terms of like what confidentiality is supposed to look like. There's only one person in Volvo that knows who is going to therapy. Boss has no idea who's going, has no idea, cannot know, no matter how curious they are, they ain't gonna know. And we've been able to build that trust over the last 4 years. And the other unique thing is that like, and we've had to act on this a couple times, is when we're kind of hearing an overwhelming concern from multiple people, from multiple departments, I then put on my performance hat, and still confidentiality. I will talk to the boss and say, hey, you should look at this. There's something happening with either this individual or like culturally over here. And both times it couldn't have gone any better. There was an immediate response, an immediate change, and everyone felt heard and seen and understood. But still, their name wasn't used in like
Got it.
that conversation. So it's a fine line, but I think that we ride it pretty well.
Cool. Okay. Last, most important question. What would be your ideal client, and who should find you, and where do they find you to get more information?
I would say our ideal client is any business or any person who understands the correlation between culture and success, culture and performance. So what we are skilled at doing is being able to identify, kind of doing a needs analysis, like identifying in your team, what is unique to your team? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Like, how can we help support, whether it's education, whether it's, yeah, like training, whether it's like therapy to help you or your team be able to like thrive? Because there's only so much a business owner can do. People are people, they have their personal lives, they've got their struggles. So if we can help alleviate all the uncontrollables as the owner, you're going to get more performance from your team. So I answer it broadly because really any business, we've worked with trades, we've worked in agriculture, we've worked in the auto industry. So if you understand that it's actually the people that are responsible for like the most success in your business, we are here to help optimize your people.
Mm-hmm.
And where do they get more information?
We are on most social media platforms. And we also just launched our new website the other day. So we have a brand new website up. And it's www.mindbuffs.com to learn more. And then we also have a podcast as well on Spotify and Apple, I think, Matt.
And everywhere.
Everywhere.
The,
Everywhere. Look at
strange
that.
ones that people still use.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic, guys. I love the insight. Keep up the good work. I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of your story as the weeks and years go by.
Yeah.
Right on.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.